3 times?
I probably should. I need the exercise.
All right, it is recording.
All right, it's 7 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing for the budget, for the 25-26 budget. This hearing is for this topic only, specifically for the budget. Is there anyone from the public who would like to make comments or have something to say about it? Raise your hand. I'll call on you. You can say your piece. It's a little bit different than a public comment forum where we have the 3 minutes. So we'll just make sure that everybody gets a chance to say what they would like to say. And I saw.
Can we ask questions, or are we just making comments?
Just comments. And then hopefully we can answer some questions when we're in the meeting or when we talk about it.
Well, I received, the detailed budget. Was looking at the special building 3-year plan. I'm assuming 25-26 lease payment, that's going to be paying off what we have. And so I'm just curious, maybe I don't get an answer. 26-27, 27-28 says new lease purchase payment. So I'm just curious, what that would be used for. Also, I noticed, we have, looking at the rolling stock, we have like 16 vehicles. I'm just wondering, are there ways that we can share vehicles and we can decrease the fleet? And then my other question is, we have quite a few buses. I know the plan was we were going to move down to smaller buses, and I saw the replacement value on the buses. So I'm just curious, is that replacement value for the buses when they are going to get retired, is that for the smaller buses, or if it was going to be for the same type of buses?
Okay.
And so I'm just putting that out there this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that has any comments about the budget? Mr. Valentine?
Yeah, I'd just like to commend the board. Over the past 10 years, we've averaged about 1.5% increase per year. That's, I think, in the time that we're in, the added expenses that we've seen for transportation, bus increases and food and all that, staff increases and salaries, like, that's outstanding. I think you guys have done a great job with that. You've maintained the salaries that allow us to fill positions, which several other districts across the state are not able to do. Maintain salaries that attract both teachers and administrators to those positions, which again across the state is not something that's happening in every district. You keep our educational materials up to date and provide activities for our students to learn and grow in. You've maintained facilities that provide quality learning environments for our students that are not extravagant in any way, shape, or form. And I don't think it's easy to ever raise taxes, and it doesn't make you popular in the community. Your taxes go up as well when you do it, so you have that burden as well. But it's not always about what's easy, it's about what's right. It's easy to be the person who votes no on a tax increase, knowing that there's going to be 5 or 6 other people who are going to be responsible and actually do what our students, or what's good for our students or staff in our school. So thank you.
Anybody else would like to say? Mr. Allen?
I just wanted to take a moment, as a former board member, I understand that what you're faced with, like the challenges that you're faced with. Big City Public Schools is one of the largest employers in the district, not the largest, but one of the largest employers. And understanding that a majority of your budget, 75% or greater, is actually for salary and wages. And so that's a big part of the budget that you just can't wrangle with. But just also wanted to commend, echo exactly what Ernie stated, was that the school district, Dr. Danker and the school board has maintained a lower annual averaged increase than what the average inflationary rate has been over the last 12 years. And so that's something to be commended and pat yourself on the back for. So I just wanted to compliment Dr. Danker and the 5 board members that do have common sense votes on these budgets. Thank you.
All right. So any other comments? Okay. With that, I think we can move to adjourn. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the hearing on budget. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Casey, seconded by Marcus. I vote yes. Karen? Can you say yes or no? Though?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Casey?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Donnie?
Yes.
Marcus?
Yes.
All right, and with the adjournment of that, then we're going to go ahead and move on to the public hearing for the tax request. And,
Before we move on, Dr. Dinker, what time did you confirm?
7:05.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and open up that hearing right now at 7:06. There's an open meetings notice on the south wall. I think I failed to say that on the other one. The purpose of this hearing is specifically for the tax request for the 25-26 school year. So with that, we'll take input from the public on this, on the tax asking. Anybody? I know they're very similar, right? It's the budget, it's the tax asking, so they definitely go hand in hand. If there's no input from the public, is there any board discussion about it? We talked a lot about it at our August meeting, so I know that we've kind of hashed it out quite a bit, and we'll still be talking about it in our regular meeting in about a couple minutes, so I just want to make sure everybody gets a chance to say what they would like to say. Okay, with that, then I'll entertain a motion to close and adjourn the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Marcus, seconded by Donnie. Justin?
Yes.
Donnie?
Yes.
Casey?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
I vote yes. Marcus?
Yes.
Now we gotta wait 3
Yeah,
minutes.
now we gotta wait.
Time of adjournment?
7:07.
We're waiting 3 minutes because we advertised our regular meeting at 7:10. So we're starting at 7:10.
That gives me a minute.
Jimmy needs a water. There are some waters, I think, in the kitchen, the fridge if you need one. I've got a small fridge in my office. Anybody need anything? Kids need anything?
You guys want water?
I got one.
I'm all right.
Oh,
Anybody?
I'll take one.
Harder to get closer. You know, he doesn't do much, really. Yeah.
Are you doing it?
She's thinking like, we just, I did it last year.
What was it?
Second, thank you. Oh. Investing. Did you guys do the 3?
Yeah.
Say 1? What did you say? I mean, except I really don't want to put my face where other faces are. Kind of gross.
Like you have looking at, you have pictures of stuff looking at. See, he's getting some influencers. I should have kept something.
You have All right, it's 7:10, so I'll go ahead and call to order the regular board meeting. Everybody will please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's an open meeting statement on the south wall of the boardroom. All board members are in attendance. For staff and student involvement, board members can see that our student board members have both submitted their reports. Thank you guys so much. Do you have anything else to add to any of those? And nothing's happened in the couple of days? No? Okay. We don't have any other student and staff involvement for this meeting, so we'll move on to consent agenda and approving the minutes of the previous two meetings, because we had our regular meeting on the 13th, and then we had our special meeting on the 27th, which is kind of a budget workshop type of a meeting where we discussed the budget for the next school year. Are there any changes or
Didn't see.
anything?
The only thing I would add is that the minutes to our meetings are a separate tab on our school website now. So if you go under the tab for the Board of Education, you've got the agendas, but you also have the minutes. And so they're on there now as well. So there's one more thing that people can read.
All right, then we'll go ahead and move on to 3.2, approving claims against the district.
Obviously a pretty light month since we had two meetings in August, and so we paid, the first half of August bills and the second half already, so there's only 38,000 in claims to start the year. More than glad to try and answer any that you have. Most of them I think are fairly self-explanatory.
Any questions about the claims? Okay. All right, then we'll go ahead and move on to financial reports.
Yeah, starting with the general fund, we have about 5.7 million in the general fund. We started about a year ago doing a monthly comparison from the previous year, so Angie does a nice job of putting that together for me. So we are ahead of where we were a year ago, but I want to remind you that our school tax credit's also been front-loaded. And so the September tax receipt will be significantly lower than it would have been a year ago at this time. And so I'm anticipating somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 million or even 1.2 million less than it was a year ago, because it's been front loaded this summer with the way they now do the school tax credits. And so I don't know that for sure. We'll have a little better idea at our October, November board meeting, because we'll then have finally been through 12 or 13 months of the new tax receipts, and so I'll have a better idea of what a normal month looks like and a normal year looks like. So we're just finishing up the first year under this new way of doing things, and so be a little bit cautious when you see that we have 376,000 more in the account now than we did a year ago at this time, because if we've already gotten over $1 million in additional school tax credits, then that number is going to look significantly different come October 1. And so I just caught it over there. The claims this month are similar to last year. Last year we had 917,000 in claims. This year 929, which you would expect when your payroll costs going up every year. So the general fund, we're a month in. We spent 5.6% of the general fund. An average month you're going to be at 8%. So we're a little under that to start the year, but until we get into October, October is usually the first month of the new fiscal year where you kind of start figuring out what your average expenses are going to be in a month. And so it'll look drastically different at our October meeting. Depreciation fund, sitting with $1.5 million in there to start the year, which is where I always like to be. Employee benefit fund is in good shape. We did pay for our employee assistance program in August for the new year. We try to prepay that in advance, and so that's the so that we have employees that can get 6 free sessions of counseling for them or their family members. It's of no cost to them. That's in addition to any of the benefits that they could get through Blue Cross Blue Shield. So this is an additional thing we started doing about when COVID hit.
Have we had staff take advantage of that?
Yes, we have.
Good.
And I would say we've already had a handful this year request information about it. So I think each year you're going to see more and more people use it, if not for themselves, a spouse or a child, family member. So I think it's been a good investment. Activity fund is in good shape there to start the year. Lots of bills going out of there now that we have home games, every week, and concessions, etc. Lunch claims, again, not a typical month because we only had about 38,000 in claims. Last year, if you remember, we averaged between 55 and 60,000 a month in lunch claims, and so, but with August not being a full month of classes, that's to be expected. Building fund, you can see we're starting the year about 700,000 roughly. We do have a lease purchase payment coming out in December. I'm going to see what our tax receipts are in September and October. Might go ahead and make that next lease purchase payment early to save some interest, but it just depends upon what our tax draw is, because we also want to keep our options open for property acquisition, so I can't totally deplete that fund and then a property becomes available that we have interest in. We don't have money in the bank to buy it. It doesn't do us any good. So I'll kind of keep an eye on that and let you know what I decide there. The bond investment fund, we haven't had a bond since I've been here, so it's been at least 13 years. But in June we did get 59 cents in back taxes, and in March we got 5 cents in back taxes from Saunders County. So it's a pretty inactive account, other than a little bit of interest each month. QC Puff, didn't have much out of there this last month either. We did get our grant reimbursement. You probably did notice that. We got the $13,216 back from the state of Nebraska. And that company is just finalizing the work on that. Those are school maps for all of our schools. The principals helped me confirm all the room numbers and et cetera, and then we've submitted all the law enforcement phone numbers and email addresses. And I would say in the next couple of weeks, all of those maps will get sent out to emergency personnel in our area. So if there ever was, whether it's a school shooting or any type of emergency situation, they would have immediate access to those. And they don't have to be asking us. They can just log in and they'll all have immediate access to the maps of our buildings. And so that's going to be pretty handy. And like I said, we did get the grant reimbursement this last month. Student fees, didn't have anything in there. We will the next couple months as FFA and FCCLA collect dues from kids, and then we pay that back out. Glad to answer any questions you have on early on in the school year on all of the accounts.
Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Dinker about any of the financial reports? No. Alright, then with that, I'll approve consent agenda items 3.1 to 3.3.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Casey, seconded by Marcus. Justin?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Marcus?
Yes.
Casey?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
I vote yes. We don't have any board committee reports?
No.
Okay, and so board workshop conference reports. There were 4 of us that went to the area membership meeting 2 weeks ago?
Oh, yeah.
2 weeks ago in York. And so
Actually had a wrong name on there.
we had,
I put Justin down instead of Marcus. Sorry, Marcus.
That's okay.
I
I
changed.
just saw that. We'll change it.
so we go to 2 sessions. We kind of get an update on
That's
the
correct.
NASB.
Maybe you printed,
I printed it wrong.
maybe early, but it was correct.
Oh,
When
good.
I prepped it, popped up.
Perfect.
Yeah, so we get an update on NASB and then we go to 2 sessions. The session I went to, one of the sessions I went to was on superintendent evaluation. Yeah, just kind of best practices in that. And I don't know, or the other 3 who attended, where you guys went, what session,
I
what
went to
topics?
one, I can't think of his name, the brain, who led that?
John Spots.
Mr. Spots.
Mhm.
Just how powerful the brain is and how you can control a lot of things by how you control your brain, positive thinking. I thought it was cool. There were like a trial of 100, I'm not even sure what the numbers were, heart patients, bad hearts, people with bad hearts. And they took one section and talked positive, a lot of brain exercises, just positive thinking. Then they took one control group and it was exercising to keep your brain, or keep your heart strong. And then another group did nothing to improve their heart. And the 2 groups that exercised and did nothing, the graph fluctuated. Of course, the exercise did slightly better, but not much better. And the people that were in the control group of positive thinking and brain exercise and just having a good outlook on life and believing your heart's getting better, did better than, like, by a long shot. And so, yeah, Mr. Spots was like, I would have been ticked off had I been in that exercise group busting my ass and not getting the results, so it was interesting. It made me think a lot about different things, just positive thinking, so it was good.
The other one, it was basically about how early stuff that affects you early on in life, how that affects you moving forward. What's the word? The ACEs,
ACEs,
basically.
adverse childhood experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, I don't remember how many there were, 8 or 10 that they had you list, and basically, the more of those that you had early on, if you look statistically, how much that affected everything else moving forward. It was pretty much across the board. If you had 0, like, alcohol in the house, violence in the house, something like that, the more you had, it was significantly worse, especially when you got into 4, 5, and 6. If you had those early on, how much that affected everything that happened. It was really eye-opening. How much things are already stacked against them before, they're even 4 or 5 years old, just by being, experiencing that really puts you behind starting like that. But.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. And also really sad, because it's like, when you have kids that are coming into your school that you're trying to help, and then you also don't know what kinds of things that they have already stacked against them. Yeah. Tony went to the same ones.
I went to the same exact ones. I mean, the one Marcus talked about was just extremely eye-opening, because you know that there isn't a school district in the state of Nebraska or the country that doesn't deal with those issues, and so it's a big problem, that something that I think we as a school got to try to do everything we can to help those situations, because those are really the real things that are inhibiting children's learning.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more kids that we don't even know about that are exposed to things that we can't fathom.
I think that one of the next workshops or conferences is going to be the labor relations, or?
Yes, I was gonna bring up those 2 things. Labor relations is the 1st and 2nd of October in Lincoln, so if anybody's interested in attending that, let me know. I can send you out more information if you'd like, so that'll be coming up here early next month. And then we also have the state conference in November. That registration opened today. Hotel rooms open up in 2 weeks. I know, Stephanie, I think yours is already taken care of. Is there anybody else that wants to go to the state conference? The conference starts really early Thursday morning, and then it's Thursday, and then half a Friday. So some of you have stayed Wednesday, Thursday, some have just stayed Thursday. Casey, any thoughts on your plans?
The Wednesday night, I'll go down.
Okay, and then you'll also stay Thursday.
Yeah, I'll be there for both Thursday and Fridays.
Justin,
Thursday only.
Aaron, Marcus.
I'll be there Thursday, Friday. Is it easier to cancel a Wednesday or to let you know later if?
It's easier to cancel. a
Okay, put me
Wednesday.
down for Wednesday and Thursday night then, please.
Okay, Donnie,
I'll be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Change me to Wednesday, Thursday then, if there's an option to cancel.
there is. Okay,
How soon do we have to do the pre-conference thing? Right now?
no,
No.
there's always plenty of room in that. If I do a couple weeks ahead of time, so you can,
I can't remember what it was. I looked the other day and it's gonna depend on
I think
schedule.
I also think one of the keynote speaker on Friday is on AI
yes.
I went to the AI pre-conference session last year and it was really good. So, I mean, it was kind of,
I can send
you
you
get
guys.
3 hours, when you get 3 hours to talk about something, you go a little bit more in depth than you do in some of the other ones where they're
Yeah,
45 minutes.
I'll send you guys a reminder when it gets closer about the pre-conference and if any of you decide you wanna go down. So, okay, thank you.
all right. Okay, moving on to administrative reports. Dr. Dinker, you're first.
The only thing I wanted to add, in case you haven't had a chance to see my updated report that I put online, it's taken us forever to hear back from the state lunch program on our community eligibility program and if we were eligible. We are, but I'm gonna tell you I declined for us to participate. And the reason is when they sent it to me, two things. We just barely met the threshold. And so I asked, what is our reimbursement? And this is the program where you would have free meals for lunches for your kids. The reimbursement that we got last year, just using 1 month's data, we got $27,714 in reimbursement for meals that month. If we would have been part of the program last year, if we'd have qualified, it would have been $27,105. So we'd have lost, $609 that month, and if that's an average month, take that times 9. That's not a huge deal. However, the other piece you have to keep in mind is you also lose all of your sales of your meals because nobody's paying. So I had Angie and Leslie look that up, and last year alone was almost 203,000. So it was $202,931.66 that we would also forego, because you wouldn't lose that. So in addition to the 60,000 or so we run in the red, you'd have to add on another 200 and some thousand. There's no way from a budgetary standpoint that we could take 200 and some thousand, 250,000 out of our general fund and put that into the meal program. We wouldn't have the budget authority to do that.
How do many other schools do that?
They just have.
They have a much higher percentage of free and reduced lunch and direct certification, because those are the two things that play into that. And so, we barely, they have an ISP number. I don't even know what that acronym means, but to give you an example, Bellwood was the only one that qualified technically, but you can make it district-wide by adding all three together, but the minimum threshold is 25%, and our three buildings together would only be at 26.67. So we meet the minimum threshold to qualify, but you've got other schools who are, up in that 40, 50, and then with that, the reimbursement rate's higher. So then it's makes sense to do it. But when we're already 60,000 in the red, and this is gonna put you at 260 or 270,000 in the red, it's just not feasible for us to do that.
If you're looking at a district that has a 60%, 65, 70% free and reduced lunch rate, then they're also not getting those receipts.
As much in sales receipts either, right?
So,
Right, and so,
which is unfortunate, because it's it's kind of similar to a lot of our families that are on the bubble of the free and reduced, is that it
Right.
just.
and so we'll continue to submit information every spring. And, you know, if that number goes up, it would make sense to do so. But from a budget authority standpoint, it doesn't make sense. And are you gonna tax your patrons another 200 and some thousand in taxes to pay for that? On top of your quote normal or average tax increase, that gets to be significant. Then you're not looking at a 2.5% tax increase, you're looking at a 4.5% tax increase. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure, I didn't know if you'd seen my updated report, so I wanted to make sure I at least brought that to light, because I know some of you had asked last month or the month before, and I just got that email on Monday, September 8th, so I wanted to make sure I shared it while I had a chance.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Mrs. Athad, do you have anything to add? I do not. Okay.
I thought the newsletter was very well done. I liked it a lot.
you.
So whoever worked on that,
Thank you.
it looked nice. It was informative
We
too.
all worked on it, so. you know.
Yep.
Mr. Lindsley, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
All right, Mrs. Greenfield?
Nope.
Ms. Ronchek?
Nothing bad.
And Ms. Daniels?
I'll just say that we have the caseload assigned for both school psychologists, and I think they're both very happy about their assignments. It plays to both of their strengths, and I think that the buildings and the special education departments are very happy to know exactly who they need to go to for their needs as well. So very excited to have Annie come on board. So
Wonderful. And Mr. Hummelbach?
About the only thing I just wanted to point out in mine is I am in the process of filling out the competitive equity waiver. That's just allow us to play 8-man football again for the next cycle and be eligible. So that is what I'm in the process of doing. Just based on when we went down to 8-man, we said we would stay for 2 cycles, and then we make that decision. So that's kind of what I'm basing staying down as. Probably the other thing that I will add is this year the Booster Club has decided we're not going to do the Sunday night pepper rally on Sunday night. So I just wanted to make sure I put that out there so nobody's caught off guard with that. So, and that it just wasn't well attended over the last years. And you know, we're doing a kickoff pepper rally on Friday that the public's welcome, and then we do our big one the following Friday. So, so it's not like we're not doing pepper rallies, we're just not doing the Sunday night one.
Where would the Friday one be? Is it gonna be inside, I imagine?
Typically we do that one outside.
No, I'm talking like the.
Oh yeah, the kickoff one will be inside on Friday.
On
Yes,
Friday.
yes. Yeah, the kickoff one will be on Friday, yes. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
And those are both open, those are all open?
Yes,
to the
everything's open, yeah, those are all to the public, so.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, well, we'll go ahead and move on to discussion and action items. 7.1, discuss, consider, take action on the 25-26 school budget for all funds for the district.
You have 2 copies in front of you. One is the one I submitted to the paper, and then I also submitted to NDE, and they said the state and NDE does not like when you're asking for taxes to the nearest cent. So they said, please round that general fund request to the nearest whole dollar. Go back to the previous year's disbursements and change it by 50-some cents or whatever it is so that you get back to an even number. So that's the difference between the 2 sheets you have in front of you. The first one that was in the paper said the general fund tax request was $10,195,570.46. They said round it up to $571. So I did to make it cleaner. So that's the difference. The only other thing I would mention on the budgets, because it's kind of unique, school finance is unique to any other budget. You probably looked at or you might even have patrons look at the 23-24 expenses, the 24-25, and then the 25-26 and say, man, you spent over 18 million last year, now you're looking to spend over 22 million, that's a $4 million increase. The thing I forgot to mention at our last budget discussion, when we talked about this for 2 hours, is one of the things I'm required to do when I submit the budget is I actually have to submit a budget that zeroes out every account, okay? And obviously, you're not going to spend every dollar of every account, so that come August 31 of 2026, you have no money left. Okay, so for example, if I just pick the activity fund, which is the, what, 1, 2, 3, 5th line. We spent 400 and some thousand in 23-24. We actually spent less this last year, 364. But the money we have left in the account, plus what I think we're going to get in gate receipts and entry fees, equals that $609,297. So on paper, I have to show revenues and expenses equal for a year, so I have to zero that out. So just know if a patron asks you why such a large increase in that third column compared to the first two, it's because that's just the rules of school finance. You have to show that you're zeroing out every account. But you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't be able to pay your teachers in September, you know, or buy groceries for the lunch program if you zeroed everything out come August 31 and started the new fiscal year next year with $0 in the bank. So just know that that's that third column, why it always looks so inflated compared to the previous two. And so I just wanted to put that out there in case if you do ever get hit up in the public, you can maybe kind of help them understand that you have to zero it out, okay? So that was the only thing new I had on the budget, unless if you have other questions.
I know that, at our last meeting, we went kind of line by line.
Right.
So, and Dr. Dicker did a very thorough job of explaining everything to us, but are there any questions from any board members for Dr. Dicker? On any of the funds? No?
I have none.
No, I think we went through it pretty thoroughly.
Good.
I'd make a motion to approve the school budget for the 2025-26 school year.
All right, then Casey moves to approve the school budget for 25-26.
Second.
Second by Donnie.
And that was for all funds?
All funds.
Thank you.
Marcus,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Donnie,
Yes.
I vote yes, Casey,
Yes.
Aaron.
No.
Moving on to 7.2, discuss, consider, take action on the 25-26 tax requests for all funds of the district.
You know, you can see last year's request, this year's request, same thing. I needed, I changed the tax request to round it to the nearest dollar. You can see that was changed, so then it's in 571 instead of 570 and 46 cents.
Is this something they just caught or something they're just
Yeah,
now
I
requiring?
had just submitted it to NDE for final approval
No, I know, but is
For
this
them
like a new thing?
every year.
They want it every year?
Yeah,
Oh.
I just spaced it off, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
I forgot.
Okay.
So they remind us every year and I just
Mhm.
spaced it off this year. You can see the resolution for 25-26, the general fund request would be $10,195,571. Special building fund would be $1,443,687. And the QC Puff for K8 is $246,641. The total property tax request then is $11,885,899, which is roughly a 2.48% tax increase. And so after questions are answered, and you make a motion and approve it, the motion does need to include the adoption of the resolution as well. You're approving the tax request for all funds and the related resolution, which I attached to the documents.
I have a question just because I don't know. I never asked about that necessary cash reserve. Is that just based on a projection or is that how, where do we get that?
They suggest that you have at least 3 or 4 months
Okay.
in the general fund, and so I just equated roughly 1.2 million, 3 months, 3.6.
I just
Yep.
never asked about the.
Yep, no, great question. great question.
Any other questions about the tax asking? For each fund?
No.
Just so you're good. Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. Aaron, do you have any other questions?
Just for clarif, and maybe this isn't even the right time. So going forward, if we do the lease purchase agreement and everything, we pay it off this year, this one we have, correct? In 2026.
Yeah.
And then if we were to roll into another one, is that where we're looking, what you had on there for projected 26, 27, 27, 28? Is that?
Yes, and no, this board has not made any
Correct,
decision, but yes.
I'm just thinking ahead though.
Yes, what I did when I put that 3-year, 5-year special building fund plan, like they're turned together, I left the special building fund tax request amount the same.
Okay.
Knowing that this board has talked about some various things, whether it's parking, a new family consumer science room, a new practice gym, a new competition gym. I've left that in as a placeholder.
Okay.
But knowing this board next year.
Right.
Could
When
be
that's
something
paid off.
completely different, you know?
Yeah, it has no effect on this year's budget.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, great question, and so that's a placeholder. If this board decides you're gonna do something different, the only thing I caution all of you is that the way it works now is that you have a revenue lid as well as a tax authority lid. So for example, if you cut 250,000 out of your building fund one year, you actually lose, and all your other revenues stayed the same. You would actually lose that 250,000 in taxing authority for not only that year, but every year after that.
That needs to change.
See, and so you really do hamstring yourself, and that's what some school districts have done, is they paid off, they paid off a lease purchase or whatever, and they said, okay, we're not going to have another new project for 2 or 3 years, so we're gonna give our taxpayers some property tax relief for a year, and then we'll re-levy that 2 years later when we start needing it for a new lease purchase or a new building addition. Well, they lost that ability because they cut that, and then the next year the state put in not only do we have a budget, a limit on budget authority, we have a limit on tax levy authority, we now have a limit on revenue lid authority. And so they thought they were doing this great thing by, getting rid of that building fund levy for a year, and they bring it back a couple years later, and now they can't. Because they dropped what their baseline number is, and now they can only raise that 3%. So if you cut it 250,000 one year, then not only do you lose that taxing authority that year, you only have the ability to raise that 3%. Well, 3% of 250,000, I think is $7,500. Right? I think, if I did my math right. That's it. So you've lost $242,500 in taxing authority and revenue for every year after that. And some schools made that mistake, and now they can barely pay the bills. And I know several schools around that are trying to figure out how many teachers or staff members, administrators, are we going to cut the 26-27 school year, because we're going to be $500,000 short. So we're going to look at having to cut five staff members in 26-27. They're already having those conversations because they're maxed out at their revenue lid, not their taxing authority. And that's what people are confused at. We still have a $1.05 taxing authority. And this year, our tax levy is going to be at 64 cents. But we can't access that remaining out of that $1.05. So the remaining, 41 cents? Cause we're gonna be up against our revenue limit pretty soon. So even if we couldn't go to $1.05 even if we wanted to. Okay? Now, we are leaving over 400,000 in taxing authority on the table. Because we had approved an additional 6% last year and we only used maybe 2% of that. So we're leaving over 400,000 in taxing authority on the table. It'll carry over to next year. You guys also would have had the ability to go over another 6% this year. That would have given you another 900 and some thousand in taxing authority. So had you done that, you actually could have taxed the patrons an additional 1.3 million. But that's not what I brought to you. I didn't bring to you the additional 6%. That 900 and some thousand, I brought to you a 2.48% tax increase because that's what I think we need to pay the bills next year. And we're leaving that additional 400 and some thousand on the table for another year. And so I think you're being fiscally responsible. What you don't want to see is some big spikes in tax increases where you're getting that 5, 6, 7%. I know some school districts that are going to be between 8 and 9% tax increases this year. That's tough, especially on your ag community. And so the last 12 years, we've averaged 2.23 in terms of tax increases. I think you guys have been fiscally responsible. This year's is 2.48, and with that, it still averages 2.23% overall over the last 12 or 13 years. And so I would ask for your support as we move the district forward another year. Glad to answer any questions.
Anything else? Anybody have anything? No?
Nobody has anything, if nobody has anything, I'll make the motion to approve the tax request and the said resolution.
Second that.
All right, moved by Donnie, seconded by Justin to approve the 25-26 tax request and adopt the attached resolution for the tax request. Casey?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Karen?
No.
Donnie?
Yes.
Marcus?
Yes.
I vote yes. 7.3, discuss, consider, take action on updated board policy 3132 internal controls.
Yeah, the feds came out with another requirement that you had to have a policy on travel costs. And so the only thing changing in this policy is the very last paragraph on travel costs. And it's if you're going to use federal funds for travel, you have to keep the cost reasonable, essentially. And I will tell you, we don't use any federal funds for travel. And so it's really going to be a moot point for us, but you still have to have the policy. So that's the only thing changing, is a requirement at the federal level to have something in there on travel costs with grants.
How about, like, through one of our grants, don't we generally reimburse some from the private school, like their transportation costs, and for like continuing ed, like, I know maybe not the last couple of years, but I remember, I thought there was one year we paid mileage and stuff for them to go somewhere.
Previously, yes.
Does that fall under this hat?
Yes.
So like, I mean, you'd have to be cognizant.
Yep, and
I don't know, what details do we get in that scenario?
they actually, and I just sent an email out to the private school this last week, they actually come to us to get approval on how to spend those funds before they actually do it. So, yeah, when we've kindly asked them in the last few years to not use it to go to the Catholic conference for those expenses, only because when they go, they actually have to circle each session that they attended. And even the registration, the hotel, the meals, the airfare gets prorated on what % of the conference they went to was secular versus non-secular. And it makes it really difficult for Angie. And so what we've asked them is, it isn't that you can't send people there, but can you use your own funds to do that and do other PD locally and let us reimburse your teachers, like when they come in for the summer for a workshop, because that's just much cleaner and the paperwork's much simpler. And they've been really gracious to work with us on that, but they are aware that they have to request approval from us ahead of time. So, good question.
Any other questions about policy 3132? I'll entertain a motion to approve policy 3132, internal controls as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Marcus, seconded by Casey. Aaron?
Yes.
Casey?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
I vote yes. Marcus?
Yes.
Donnie?
Yes.
7.4, discuss, consider, take action to authorize the superintendent to sell the 2004 Chevy pickup.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, can I maybe also answer some of his questions as part of this conversation?
That'd be great.
Is that
Yep.
reasonable under
Yes.
this? The 2004 Chevy, we have 3 school pickups, but now that we bought a Gator a few months or almost a year ago, we don't have the need for 3 pickups. We keep one in Bellwood. We have one here. And now that we have the Gator, we just don't have the need for it, and so I'd like to sell it. We have a couple people I think are interested. And so I'd like your approval to sell it. In terms of our fleet of vehicles, I will tell you that every small vehicle we have gets used a lot. And we still pay mileage to staff. So we do share vehicles when we can. Small vehicles, but we also, believe it or not, even though we have that large fleet of small vehicles, we still have staff that we pay mileage to on top of that. And so I would not want to get rid of any of our Traverses or Suburbans. Most schools, we're using the 12 passenger vans. You can't do that anymore. We got ahead of the curve and got rid of those. That's why we have the fleet of Suburbans we do, and then the smaller vehicles. Because we do transport a lot of kids, we also share a lot of staff. And so we have a handicap van in Bellwood for transporting kids there. We have one here. So when we have to transport preschool kids. We have 2 vehicles for administrators when they go, but we also share a lot of staff. And if they want a vehicle when they go to Bellwood, they can request one. And so when Carrie Daniels goes there for a half a day, twice a week, she could request a vehicle. Miston Kozacek goes over there. Travis Worm goes over there. Missy Gladowski goes over there. Anna Kuba goes over there.
Annie Crispin.
Annie Crispin goes over there.
And their schedules do not coincide.
They don't match. We also have a school nurse that goes to Columbus every day to cath a kid. We also send 2 kids to Boys Town every day in another vehicle. And I can tell you, we have another, one of our students who we're looking to transition back here for half a day. So we're gonna need a vehicle to go get them early from Columbus. And so literally every vehicle we use is used regular. There are times we run out of vehicles and we pay mileage to staff. And so, but I tried to run the numbers of where is the happy medium on vehicles versus paying mileage, and I think that's where we're at. That's why I haven't asked you for additional small vehicles, because it's not cost effective based on the other ones that we're paying mileage to. And so, and the buses, we have eliminated some of our buses, but we do like to keep them. We can, on a given day, we could have some days where we have 7 buses out, 4 bus routes and 3 activities. So we could have 7 routes out, and if you have one broken down, or in some cases, we've had a couple broken down at a time, we do like to keep the extras on hand, but we have tried to reduce our fleet. We're down 2 from where we were a couple years ago. And so we have tried to be cognizant of that. We haven't gotten our new 14 passenger bus yet that we ordered last year. It was supposed to be here October 1. With the tariffs, it's now been pushed back to December. And so it's taken a long time to get that. But again, we take 14 kids to Columbus every day. We have one that we use for FFA and industrial tech. We have one taking middle school kids down to practice at the football field or the auditorium. And then we use one for our regular activities. So there's times we'll take a bus and a short bus to the same event. And so we are using all of our vehicles. If you look this year, we don't have a big bus on the schedule. We do have one or two small vehicles potentially up for sale and to buy new, but we've adjusted that. There's been years we've had them on the schedule and then we've changed our mind in the spring because we haven't put near the miles on them as we thought we would. And so, yes, we have replacement schedules on buses and vehicles, but they've been flexible enough. We've changed our mind in the spring more than once, where we've either have or have not purchased something based on, we either put way more miles on it than we thought we would, or we didn't put nearly as many. And so I do keep an eye on that mileage. I asked Tammy to give me the mileage. She'll give me the mileage again in December and again in February. And so I can keep track before we actually do come to you with a request to make a purchase of a vehicle. And so hopefully that answers some of your questions on vehicles and so forth. I think that was,
Yep.
Yeah. And so with that was long-winded, but I would ask your approval to sell the 04 pickup.
Would we be better off just taking that to Cobes' auction
Potentially.
versus playing the private bid game or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know how you were intending on doing that.
That's the easiest for me, to be
I was
honest.
gonna say that takes,
And we probably get the best deal doing it that way because it just goes to a larger audience.
absolutely.
And so that was my intention.
You said there's a few people interested, so I thought, okay.
I was just gonna tell them it's out there if
Okay.
you're interested. To be honest, it's easier for me unless if you guys are opposed to that.
No.
So,
Any other questions about selling the Chevy pickup? I'll entertain a motion to authorize Dr. Dacre to sell the 04 Chevy. So
Second.
moved by Casey, seconded by Marcus. Donnie?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Marcus?
Yes.
I vote yes. Justin?
Yes.
Casey?
Yes.
Alright, we don't have any personnel for this evening.
Nope.
I did not receive any public forum forms.
Nope.
Future discussion and action items, I guess just keep in mind that our October board meeting is going to be in Bellwood.
Yeah, and I actually think we should put a 6th grade teacher on the agenda already for conversation. You know, we had said that we have 2 bigger classes coming up, and so that we would have a conversation. I think we need to start that in October, if that's okay, talking about whether or not we added a 6th grade teacher back to Bellwood for 2 years, or if we look at having a 3rd one here in David City and what that might look like. So I'd at least like to start that conversation and let like 5th grade parents in Bellwood know that we're gonna have that conversation in October. Maybe we don't make a decision until November, but we at least have a preliminary conversation in October. And the reason I want to do it there is because that's where our board meeting is next month anyway. We usually in October and April have our board meetings in Bellwood. Since those are the families it's going to potentially impact, to me it made sense to go ahead and have the preliminary conversation over there, unless if you guys are opposed to that.
Sounds great.
Because based on Peggy's report, there's 2 classes of 14 coming up.
Yeah, there's 2 classes, so we want to at least talk about a couple different options for people to mill around that we can talk about in October, and then give you guys time to sit on it, get some feedback, and then we would actually make a decision in November, so then we can start advertising at Christmas time.
And our next biggest class won't be until next year's kindergarten class. Right now we have 14 4-year-olds in preschool. So I'm guessing we'll have 16, 20 in kindergarten next year in Bellwood. It's a large year. So like your numbers are 14, then way smaller for several years, and then not 14 again for probably 5 years.
So we'll bring you enrollment numbers for both buildings. We'll give you a couple different options to mill around, ask questions. We'll let the community provide some input, and then make a decision in November unless if you guys don't like that.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, all right. Any other future discussion?
The other property thing's just gone by the wayside.
I visited with Cobza, and right now that family's not willing to budge. And so I'm gonna let it be for now.
All right. Then with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Marcus, seconded by Donnie. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
7:59?
All opposed? Nobody says no, right?
All right, thanks, everyone. Kids, we got you out of here early tonight.
Awesome.
I know you're upset about that. You weren't here all night.